So this is the Kukri Machete after being sharpened. You can still see some of the black paint or coating left on the very edge bevel. That's because the edge bevel is actually hollow ground, it's not flat. So your initial sharpenings are just going to hit the shoulder and the very apex of the edge itself. You will want to flatten that bevel right off and get rid of all that, because a hollow ground edge is exceptionally weak in terms of lateral loading. It's also relatively pointless at this stage to try to really refine the edge and get a high polish on it, because the edge is just breaking up under the stones. I used a very coarse stone on this that you can buy in a hardware store. Coarse on one side, fine on the other. You can buy them for about $2. There's no point to using a really expensive stone on this. This is only a medium carbon steel. It's very easy to grind. The problem is though, is that the edge was obviously burnt, just like on the regular Kukri Machete I had. It will not form a very clean, very sharp edge. If you look at it under magnification, you can see the steel is actually splintering off the edge when you're sharpening it. So just put a really coarse edge on it, knock off the burr as best you can, get the bevels where they at least meet, and you can do some fine cutting with it, but it's not going to last any length of time. I'll probably make at most 100, 200 chops with this, and the edge will be obliterated again. Again, it's burnt, it's been overheated, so it's going to keep collapsing until you get all that steel off. Now, of course, if you want, you can actually just grind this edge flat and then resharpen it. Take it back about a 1/16 of an inch, and you'll get rid of all that. But I don't mind using it and resharpening it, and it gives me a bit of an idea about how long it's going to last. So let's see how we can cut through this now. Wow, that's really surprising. That was fairly shocking. I knew the edge retention was going to be fairly low. I didn't expect it to be that bad. In the chopping section of the blade, the edge has been essentially obliterated. If you look at these two pieces of wood, the bottom piece was cut with the Kukri as-sharpened. This was when I turned it over. It had only made about a dozen cuts into this is a piece of spruce 2x4. So the first dozen cuts were nice and smooth. I was getting decent penetration. The last dozen cuts, you can see again, the wood is starting to fracture a lot. The edge is no longer very clean. This would be really frustrating for someone who doesn't understand about burrs and overheating and that kind of stuff to use this machete, because your initial impressions until you get past that burnt steel are going to be horrible. I mean, that's a dozen cuts, the edge is obliterated, and now you're back into where you're breaking the wood. But still, night and day performance between this and the as boxed edge. I mean, even this is significantly better than it was as boxed. But kind of surprising. I thought I'd get through at least a few pieces of 2x4 and I'd be able to get some kind of average performance. But the edge on this is essentially gone again already, and it needs to be resharpened. So that's kind of funny. So again, here's your grass. Cut through it with the tip. Easily cuts through the majority of the grasses. Here's the grass. Again, we'll chop through it where it actually cut through the wood, and you see no ability, and again, massive difference. And that was again half of a piece of 2x4, completely obliterated the edge. And again, that's because the edges are horribly burnt when they first shape them, and contact wheel that you're using to grind the bevels on. So when you get this, prepare for some disappointment until you grind all that steel off the edge.